What's up, everyone? Today's a big one. We're diving deep into rookie minicamp week, and trust me, there's a lot to talk about. The rookies have officially landed in Las Vegas as of May 8th, and while veteran attendance isn't mandatory, I'll be paying close attention to which vets decide to show up anyway. Because under this new regime, effort speaks volumes, and the guys who go above and beyond when they don't have to, those are the ones who set the tone for the rest of the locker room. Now we've got a brand new class of rookies to watch, and I've been looking through every detail to figure out which names we should really keep an eye on. Whether they were drafted or signed after the draft, we've got a total of 11 fresh faces trying to earn their stripes, and I'm ranking them based on who intrigues me the most heading into this camp. For those of you who might have missed the 2025 draft, picks, let's catch you up real quick. The first names off the board for our squad were Ashton Gentry, Jack Beck, Darian Porter, Caleb Rogers, and Charles Grant. Then on day 3, we added Dante Thornton Jr., Tonka Hemingway, JJ Peggs, Tommy Mallott, Cam Miller, and Cody Lindenberg. Solid haul overall. Some picks that had people hyped, and others that raised a few eyebrows. But of course, the draft's just one piece of the puzzle. We've also signed a bunch of undrafted players who are hungry to prove everyone wrong. Guys like Jaw Joyner, Parker Clemens, who, by the way, has one of the best beards I've seen in football. Matt Jones, Mela Dodson, Jared Hufford, Trevin Mays, Carter Renan, Hodge Malik Williams, Greedy Vance, Hudson Clark, John Humphrey, Pat Conroy, Jalen Walker, and Zachary Franklin. Not to mention Anthony Booker Jr. and Lockie Tissy, who comes through the international program, and even though he doesn't quite fit the drafted or undrafted label, he deserves to be included in the mix. So now that we've got all the names on the table, let me hit you with the big question. Which rookie needs to stand out the most at this mini camp? Some folks will point to Ashton Gentry, our high draft pick, as the guy who has the most pressure to perform. Others might say it's Cody Lindenberg, who was picked in the later rounds and still has to fight for a roster spot. And yeah, that linebacker room is wide open. Remember, MJ Devonshire didn't stick last year despite being drafted. So if you're Lindenberg, you know this is your shot. You gotta come out flying. Let's start running through the rankings now from the bottom up. At number 11, we've got Cam Miller. Now, no shade to Cam, but I just don't see him shaking up the depth chart right away. He's competing with Aiden O'Connell for that backup quarterback spot, and from where I'm standing, O'Connell still has the edge. Cam's got tools, but the window feels narrow right now. Moving on to number 10, Caleb Rogers. I'm cautiously optimistic about this one. Some people are a little higher on him than I am, but I'm curious to see how they plan to use him. Personally, I'd love to see him working on the right side of the offensive line. Whether it's at guard or tackle, that's where I think he fits best. Let's just hope he's locked in and ready to grind, because there's potential if the development is there. At number 9, we've got Charles Grant. This is a guy I'll be watching closely. He shined at William and Mary, no doubt about it, but now it's time to see if he can carry that same energy into the league. The NFL is a different beast, and I want to see how he handles the jump in competition. Does he bring that same confidence when he lines up against pros? We'll find out soon enough. Coming in at number 8, we got Tonka Hemingway. The defensive tackle position has some depth right now, but Hemingway adds an interesting wrinkle. He's versatile, and there's a question of whether he can be a guy like Adam Butler, someone who can move around and contribute in different ways. If he finds that niche, he could stick. I'm keeping tabs. Number 7 is JJ Peggs. There was a point where I considered putting him higher just because of how many roles he's played. He's lined up at tight end, defensive line, fullback. The guy's done a bit of everything. It'll be interesting to see where the staff places him. I think defensive tackle will be his primary spot. But if they start getting creative in practice, things could get real interesting. 6th on the list is Dante Thornton Jr. I cannot wait to see this dude run. He clocked a 4.3 in the 40, and I want to see if that speed really translates on the field. Standing 6'5" with wheels like that, that's rare. It reminds me of back in the day with the Jets. I remember watching Chris Johnson and Jacoby Ford burn down the field. We might be seeing that kind of explosiveness again, but in a much bigger frame. It's going to be wild if he can live up to it. Now, let me take a second to thank everyone who's been watching and supporting the channel. I'm thinking of dropping some updates over the weekend since rookie camp runs through Sunday, so make sure to stay tuned. Whether you're catching the videos live or on replay, your support means everything. And shout out to everyone who dropped a comment on Thursday's video. I see you. Back to the list, number 5 is Cody Lindenberg. The linebacker competition is fierce, and I'm watching closely to see if he can beat out guys like Amari Gaynor, Tommy Eichenberg, and Amari Burney. It's a real battle, and Cody's going to need to bring it. He's athletic, he's smart, but he has to show he can diagnose plays quickly and be physical at the point of attack. At number 4, we've got Tommy Mellott. Man, I loved interviewing this kid. He's got such a good head on his shoulders and way more talent than people give him credit for. The dude ran a 4.39, which is no joke. The question is, will they use him at quarterback or just stick to wide receiver? Either way, he's also expected to contribute on special teams. I'm hyped to see how they unleash him. Number 3, Jack Beck. I'll admit it, I'm a lot more excited about him now than I was when the pick was first made. Jack has that fire. He's not trying to just fit in. He wants to stand out. It reminds me of Max Crosby during his rookie year. That guy came into OTAs acting like it was a Super Bowl. That's what I'm seeing from Beck. He's got that same chip on his shoulder. Coming in at number 2, Darian Porter. This kid might actually turn out to be our top cornerback this year, and he only switched to the position last season. He was a wide receiver at Iowa State for 5 years, and now he's trying to lock down the other side of the ball. The way he's picked up the position is impressive. Could he be a Richard Sherman type conversion story? That might sound like a stretch, but the upside is real. And finally, number 1. I know I mentioned him earlier, but let's not pretend like we're not all waiting to see what Ashton Gentry does in this system. This guy represents the future of our offense. He's explosive, he's versatile, and honestly, I could talk for hours about why I'm excited to see him in pads. If you're not watching camp to see what Gentry can bring, you're missing the point. Now, of course, everyone has their own rankings and opinions, and that's what makes this fun. We can debate, we can discuss, but what matters most is that we're paying attention. These rookies are about to write the first pages of their NFL stories, and I'm here to document every moment. Next up, I'll run through my extended list of undrafted players who I believe deserve a second look, and I'll rank them based on potential, role fit, and overall excitement heading into camp. Let's keep this rolling and shift the spotlight to those undrafted players, the ones who slipped through the cracks on draft weekend but now have a golden opportunity to prove they belong. I always say this, just because a guy wasn't picked doesn't mean he can't make noise. Every year we see undrafted free agents carve out real roles, and I've got a few names circled on my list for this rookie camp, starting off with Zachary Franklin. Now, I'll be honest, I don't expect him to break into the final roster, especially with 3 wide receivers already drafted. The odds are stacked against him, but that doesn't mean he's out of the picture entirely. If he shows up and balls out on special teams, that changes the narrative fast. But again, the wide receiver room is crowded, and unless someone gets hurt or completely underperforms, Franklin's best shot might be the practice squad. Then there's Parker Clemens, the guy with the legendary beard I mentioned earlier. Aside from the facial hair, he's got a real chance to make a name for himself, especially along the offensive line. I'm not saying he's a lock to make the team, but there's something about his frame, the way he carries himself. You can't teach that kind of presence. If he flashes any technique or versatility during camp, coaches will notice. Greedy Vance is another one I've got my eye on. His name alone makes you want to see him play. But beyond the branding, he's a feisty defensive back with a real shot to contribute. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up being one of those undrafted guys who sticks, maybe not as a starter right away, but definitely as someone who sees the field. He's got the energy, the swagger, and from what I've heard, the work ethic to match. Matt Jones is a bit of a wild card. Depending on where they plug him in and how he responds, he could be a guy that sneaks into rotation reps or fades quietly by the end of camp. I'm holding back from going all in on him, but I want to see how he competes, especially in live reps. That's where we separate the hype from the hustle. Trevor Mays is a physical presence. He's got the build you want in a modern linebacker, and if he can flash on special teams, he's got a path. The key with guys like him is impact. It's not about being perfect, it's about making coaches say, "Whoa, who's number 48?" when they're watching tape. You need those moments. If Mays gives us 2 or 3 splash plays in a camp or scrimmages, he buys himself more time to develop. One player who really intrigues me is Hajj Malik Williams. He's one of those hybrid guys who doesn't have a defined position but brings athletic traits that stand out. I wouldn't be surprised if he lines up in multiple roles during camp just to see what sticks. Sometimes versatility is your ticket in the door, especially when you're trying to make a roster from the bottom up. And then there's Hudson Clark. Not the fastest, not the flashiest, but he's smart, he's dependable, and sometimes that's all you need to carve out a spot on the back end of the depth chart. Coaches love guys they can trust, especially when it comes to filling gaps on defense and stepping in on special teams. If he plays clean, mistake-free football, he's going to be hard to ignore. One of my personal favorites on this list is Jalen Walker. He's been overshadowed in some circles, but his college tape shows a guy who plays with heart and tenacity. The effort jumps off the screen. That kind of attitude translates well in a camp setting where every rep counts and every coach is watching your motor more than your resume. He could be a sleeper pick to surprise everyone. Now let's talk about John Humphrey and Pat Conroy. Neither are getting much buzz, but again, this is the NFL. Things change fast. One injury or a strong scrimmage showing, and suddenly someone like Conroy is getting second-team reps. Humphrey's path might be longer, but if he finds a way to shine in coverage or on special teams, he earns himself another look. Carter Renan and Jared Hufford fall into that same gritty underdog mold. You're not going to hear a lot of fans chanting their names right now, but that's fine. These are the kinds of players who make rosters not by standing out on social media, but by doing the little things right. Lining up on time, being coachable, executing technique when everyone else is tired. That's how you win a job. Then we've got Lockie T. The international pipeline is always a wild card, but I'm excited about this one. Physically, he's got everything you'd want. Size, strength, frame. The question is how quickly he can adjust to the speed and complexity of the American game. You can't fake football instincts at this level, but raw traits? That's a foundation worth building on. Lastly, Anthony Booker Jr. He's right on the bubble for me. I've seen flashes that make me think he could sneak into the bottom of the depth chart if things break his way. But it's a tight window. He's going to have to dominate individual drills and show he can hold his own against drafted talent. If he does, coaches will notice. Rookie minicamp is about more than just schemes and systems. It's about attitude. It's about showing up when nobody's watching and putting in that extra rep when your legs are gone. The players who stand out aren't always the ones with the highest vertical or the fastest 40. It's the ones who treat every rep like it's their last shot. So as we head into this weekend, I'll be glued to every update, every rep, every whisper coming out of camp. Because somewhere in this mix, drafted or undrafted, is a guy who's going to make the roster, shock the league, or maybe even become a fan favorite. That's the magic of rookie camp. You just never know who's going to rise. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Las Vegas Raiders. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In a move that has sent shockwaves through the NFL, Trevor Lawrence, one of the most highly anticipated quarterbacks in recent history, has confirmed his arrival at the Las Vegas Raiders. The announcement marks a significant new chapter in Lawrence's career and promises to shake up the dynamics of the AFC West division, where competition has been fierce in recent seasons. Lawrence, who was drafted first overall by the Jacksonville Jaguars in 2021, had a promising start to his NFL career, but faced numerous challenges in his first few seasons. Despite the growing pains of playing on a rebuilding team, Lawrence's potential was evident from the very beginning, with flashes of brilliance that kept fans and analysts alike excited for his future. However, following a series of coaching changes and organizational shifts, it became clear that both Lawrence and the Jaguars needed a fresh start. Rumors surrounding Lawrence's departure from Jacksonville had been circulating for months, and speculation only grew as the 2025 offseason approached. The Raiders, with a strong roster but in search of a true leader at quarterback, quickly emerged as a prime destination for Lawrence. The Raiders, who have been in a state of flux at the quarterback position for some time, recognized that Lawrence could be the answer to their long-term stability. His confirmed arrival could finally bring the franchise the stability at quarterback that it has lacked since the days of Rich Gannon. For Lawrence, the move to Las Vegas is not just about escaping a rebuilding franchise, but also about the opportunity to showcase his talents in a new environment, surrounded by a team with playoff aspirations. The Raiders have invested heavily in their offensive line and skill positions, giving Lawrence a talented supporting cast that should make his transition smoother than his experience in Jacksonville. With weapons like Devontae Adams, Josh Jacobs, and a solid group of young receivers, Lawrence has the potential to lead a potent offensive attack. The Raiders fan base, which has long been starved for a championship caliber quarterback, is understandably excited by the prospect of Lawrence taking the field in the silver and black. His arrival also brings a renewed sense of optimism to Las Vegas, a city that has quickly become a focal point in the NFL since the Raiders' relocation from Oakland. The team, now with Lawrence at the helm, is expected to make a push for the postseason, with hopes of finally bringing a Super Bowl title to the desert. Looking ahead, the Raiders' decision to acquire Lawrence also signals their commitment to building a contender around him. General Manager Dave Ziegler and head coach Josh McDaniels will undoubtedly be focused on surrounding their new quarterback with the right pieces, making moves in the draft and free agency to bolster both the offensive and defensive lines. Lawrence's skill set, which includes his arm strength, mobility, and leadership, will be crucial in turning the Raiders into a consistent playoff team. As the offseason unfolds, all eyes will be on Lawrence and the Raiders to see how this new partnership unfolds. The AFC West is a highly competitive division, and with Lawrence now in the mix, the Raiders have the potential to change the balance of power in the conference. For the young quarterback, this is a golden opportunity to prove that he belongs among the NFL's elite. And for the Raiders, it's a chance to return to the top of the league's ranks. With the confirmation of Trevor Lawrence's arrival in Las Vegas, the stage is set for an exciting new era for both the quarterback and the franchise. As fans eagerly await the start of the 2025 season, one thing is clear: the Raiders are back in the conversation, and Trevor Lawrence is ready to lead the charge. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Las Vegas Raiders, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.